going live on our Facebook, on our YouTube, and we're saying a very good morning to Mr. Michael Swain. How are you this morning, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. So good to be chatting to you about parental rights and the best interest of children. Michael Swain heads up the organization called Freedom of Religion South Africa. And in a little more depth, we need to get about parents' rights and the best interests of children. It's a worrying trend that, at least from certain quarters, parents' rights are increasingly pitted against the rights of their minor children, as if parents and children are allegedly engaged in a power struggle of some sort. And of course, children must be freed from the parents' oppression, is what they seem to imply in some quarters. Freedom of Religion South Africa is concerned about this adverse impact of this on families, which will ultimately also have a negative impact on children. So, Michael, why is an organization like Freedom of Religion South Africa, which stands for freedom, concerned about parental rights? Why that?
Well, it's interesting, just to start off with, the response we got from the Department of Basic Education when we were challenging and continue to challenge, by the way, this early childhood education toolkit that obviously pushes transgenderism into pre-primary and primary schools. When we actually challenged them on that, one of their main arguments was that parents and children are in an unequal relationship, and therefore they need to step in and supplement parental values with what they call constitutional values. So this is a very real situation. This is not just theory. But yes, parents' rights are extremely well protected. There are various international treaties that are binding on the Republic of South Africa that protects parents' rights to raise their children according to their own religious and moral beliefs. These actually state that the state is required to support the family and recognize it as a fundamental cornerstone of the natural basic unit of society. It recognizes that children are, of course, primarily educated by their parents. Parents have the right to educate their children. We have a white paper, which is a policy paper for the Department of Basic Education, that specifically says that parents are the primary educators and they have the right to choose the type of education that is best for their own children. And by the way, that includes religious, and they have the right to be consulted. So, yeah, it's important in relation, particularly, of course, to the content that is taught. Content that is normative or ideological in nature is obviously can be very much worlds apart. And parents, if people are being taught all this, the department's trying to teach children things that parents fundamentally don't agree with, they should obviously have the right to withdraw their children from these lessons and activities.
Sure. It is hectic, Mr. Michael. So when it comes to the concept or the principle of the best interest of the child, talk to us more about that. Where does it come in? Where does it come from, and how should we and how can we understand it?
Well, the white paper talks about the rights of parents as being inalienable, and that's a very important word because it basically means that parental rights aren't granted by the state. They're not created by the state. They're simply recognized by the state because it is a pre-existing right. It is something that the parents have simply by virtue of nature of the fact that they are parents, and it precedes, therefore, the state. And if they're going to be taken away or limited for any reason, and it can be the case, because as we'll come to, we also have a very crucial principle of the best interest of the child, but that would be in something where there's terrible neglect or abuse or that type of thing. So yes, that is essentially the most important thing to recognize, is that they are pre-state, they are pre-political rights, they are natural rights that simply recognize the virtue of the obviously existent and pre-existent relationship between a parent and child. I mean, look at a mother with a new baby. That relationship's not sort of given by the state. It clearly exists simply because of the natural order.
Yeah. And that's the important thing, hey, is that we understand that it's something that it's not government saying, oh, you as a parent have got rights. It's actually pre-existing. But in that regard, the best interests of children, who has the best interest of children, is the parents, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely, 100%. And of course, that is why it is so important that parental rights are protected. Because if parents' rights aren't protected, then how else are they going to make sure that they are the decision makers in the child's education and their health and their development and their provision and their protection and their nutrition? I mean, parents, that's just the role that they play. And of course, this ridiculous idea of a conflict between parental rights and child rights, they go hand in hand. Parents love for, they care for, they protect, they actualize, in fact, their child's freedom. They enable their children, obviously at the appropriate level of development, to exercise their rights and to learn how to enjoy them. So, yeah, and these rights are, of course, protected in terms of local and international legislation and treaties.
Very good. Very good.
Mr. Michael, like always, you're always so informative and on point. But if people want to get more details and find out more about the rights a parent has, where can they go?
Well, they can always go to our website, which is forsa.org.za. We actually also have a YouTube channel, and we did quite an in-depth interview, sort of in-house interview discussion on this. And I'm not quite sure if it's happening yet; it has to be confirmed. But I think I might be back at CCFM this evening at 9 p.m. To maybe have an hour-long discussion on this. So if people want more detail, and there's a lot more to it, by the way, then I would look forward to seeing people there at, I think, 9 p.m. Tune in. I think it's going to be an in-depth discussion. I look forward to that.
Fantastic. That is so great. Yeah, so tonight, 9 p.m. here on CCFM with Evan. Michael Swain, Executive Director for Freedom of Religion South Africa, will be chatting more in depth about this because it's so important for us to know. But come on, people, go and check out and be aware of the fact that you have rights as a parent, and God created it so that you love your children. That's the place that you operate from. And thank you just for highlighting this for us again, Michael Swain. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. So forsa.org.za is where you can go to get more information. Go along to forsa.org.za.
Wonderful.